They turned us into monsters, but I refuse to die as one. Alma's voice was a venomous whisper, cutting through the suffocating silence of the abandoned hospital. She crouched low in the shadows, her crimson hair matted with sweat and blood, her bandaged body trembling from exhaustion. The knife in her hand was slick with gore, its blade notched from countless battles. Around her, the air reeked of rust and rot, a nauseating blend that clung to every surface. The hospital loomed like a decaying monument to human suffering. Its walls were peeling, revealing veins of mold crawling like parasites. Bloodstains streaked the floor in erratic patterns, some smeared by desperate hands clawing for freedom, others splattered in violent explosions of flesh and bone. Broken glass crunched under Alma's boots as she moved cautiously through the labyrinthine corridors, her breath shallow and uneven. This wasn't just another abandoned building. Alma had tracked it down meticulously, piecing together scraps of information stolen during her escape from the lab. The rumors whispered among survivors had led her here, a hidden facility where rogue scientists continued their gruesome experiments despite the collapse of their main operation. Alma knew she had to stop them, not just for herself, but for the others still trapped in this nightmare. As she ventured deeper into the hospital, the atmosphere grew heavier, suffocating her with its oppressive darkness. The flickering fluorescent lights cast long shadows that seemed to move on their own. Alma's fingers tightened around her knife as she entered an operating room. The table in the center was illuminated by a single overhead light, casting a sickly yellow glow over the scene. Surgical tools scattered haphazardly, bone saws crusted with gore, and a metal tray holding what looked like a severed human hand, twitching involuntarily. Her stomach churned violently, but she forced herself to move on. She couldn't afford hesitation. Not here, not now. A faint humming sound drifted through the hallway ahead, sending shivers down Alma's spine. She followed it cautiously until she reached a room where a child sat in the corner. Its back was turned to her, but its head tilted unnaturally to one side as it hummed an eerie tune. Alma froze when she noticed the glowing red light emanating from its eyes, reflected in a cracked mirror on the wall. "Help me." The child's voice was soft but distorted, like static on an old radio. Alma's grip tightened on her knife as she took a step back. The child rose slowly, its joints cracking audibly with each movement. It turned toward her fully now, its face pale and expressionless except for its glowing eyes, which seemed to pierce through her soul. Before Alma could react, an alarm blared throughout the facility. A red strobe light flickered violently overhead, bathing everything in pulses of crimson. The child let out an ear-piercing shriek before lunging at her with unnatural speed. Alma threw herself to the ground just in time to avoid its claws, razor-sharp extensions of bone protruding from its fingertips. She rolled onto her back and kicked upward with all her strength, sending the creature sprawling into a metal cabinet. It let out an animalistic growl before scrambling back onto all fours like a feral beast. She didn't wait for it to attack again. Alma bolted down the hallway as more doors burst open around her. From each room emerged another grotesque figure, failed experiments left behind by their creators but still alive enough to kill. One man stumbled out, his spine exposed, with metal rods replacing vertebrae that sparked with electricity at every movement. His face was twisted into a permanent grimace of agony as he dragged himself toward her with jerky movements. Another woman followed close behind him. Her face split open vertically like a grotesque flower blooming with mechanical tendrils writhing where her mouth should be. Alma sprinted through the chaos, dodging grasping hands and snapping jaws. Her heart pounded in her chest as she searched desperately for an exit, or something, anything, that could give her an advantage. She burst into another operating theater and slammed the door shut behind her. The room was eerily quiet, except for the sound of dripping liquid. She turned slowly to see what lay inside. Subject Theta. Theta towered at over 7 feet tall, with reinforced steel plating covering most of its body like armor fused directly into its flesh. Its eyes glowed bright red beneath a helmet embedded into its skull, a predator built for destruction. "Shit," Alma muttered under her breath before gripping her knife tighter. Theta charged forward with terrifying speed despite its massive size, shattering a nearby surgical tray into shards of metal and glass as it lunged at her. Alma dove to the side just in time, rolling onto her feet before slashing at Theta's exposed joints, but her knife barely scratched its reinforced plating. The creature roared, a guttural sound that reverberated through the walls, and swung its arm like a battering ram. The impact sent Alma flying backward into a rusted cabinet. Pain exploded in her ribs as she gasped for air, blood flooding her mouth from somewhere deep inside. Theta advanced slowly now, savoring each heavy step like a death march. Alma scrambled to her feet and grabbed a jagged pipe from nearby debris, just as Theta swung again. But this time she ducked low and drove the pipe upward into its exposed neck. Sparks erupted as wires snapped beneath the blow. Theta staggered back, momentarily stunned, before roaring louder than ever, a sound so deafening that dust fell from ceiling tiles above them both. Thinking quickly under pressure, she yanked the wires free. The live current surged outward, arcing directly onto Theta's metallic frame and causing sparks to fly wildly. The creature was momentarily stunned. Seizing the opportunity, Alma delivered the final killing blow, plunging her knife straight through its remaining functional eye socket. Theta collapsed, a lifeless heap at her feet. The exhausted survivor stood victorious, barely able to remain upright amidst the carnage. Smoke choked every breath as Alma staggered out into the night air. Moments before, an explosion had rocked the hospital, causing it to collapse inward. Flames consumed everything that had once stood as a testament to the horrors committed within those walls, forever erased from history books. Yet, haunting memories lingered, deeply etched within the psyche of a broken warrior, determined to ensure no others suffered the same fate. It was a journey where vengeance and redemption were intertwined, with an uncertain future lying ahead and unknown dangers lurking in the shadows beyond the horizon, awaiting the next chapter to unfold in this grim tale of survival against all odds. As Alma fell to her knees, clutching the stolen USB drive tightly in her hand, containing damning evidence of a global network of experiments expanding far beyond imagination, the camera panned outward, revealing faint red dots glowing in the forest surrounding her. They were silently watching her, her prey's movements, calculating their next strike. One figure stepped forward. Heavy breathing filled the air, and the screen cut to black as a final, haunting message was displayed. "You're not free yet."